Gojo has performed an action that's considered unusual in the peculiar world of Jujutsu. He utilized his own reverse cursed technique to heal his burnt-out cursed technique. In a previous move, he unleashed a hollow purple at Sukuna, shattering Sukuna's shrine along with him. While all the sorcerers back at the live broadcast express surprise, Yuta, in particular, is more concerned. His facial expressions reveal his astonishment. Healing a burnt-out curse technique seems inherently impossible, yet Gojo has managed to accomplish the seemingly unattainable. Just like a machine that isn't broken, but overheats won't function properly until it's cooled down, burning out a cursed technique with a domain is a distinct process from taking physical damage. Yuta's prior assumptions regarding this matter may have been incorrect. Maki voices her thoughts and questions whether a reversed cursed technique can fix something, but is unable to cool it down. The intricacies of the interaction between cursed techniques and the limitations of the reversed cursed technique come into question. Perhaps it's not just the technique itself, but Gojo's own capabilities. Given his surprising power, it could be that he's pushing himself far beyond his usual limits. Back on the battlefield, Gojo questions Sukuna, asking if he can go even bigger with the malevolent shrine than what has been witnessed so far. Sukuna responds with a hand sign, intending to expand the range of his malevolent shrine. In a surprising turn of events, Gojo counters with the unlimited void, his own domain expansion. His actions leave everyone in disbelief, and Ino questions whether Gojo is going to repeat the same strategy. Shoko intervenes, explaining that Gojo is smarter than that. Mimi appears to catch wind of the situation, and Higuruma elaborates, stating that Gojo has reversed the barrier's inner and external conditions. This means that the barrier is stronger from the outside, a deviation from the usual setup where the strength is concentrated on the inside. While for other sorcerers, this feat would be considered unattainable, Gojo is known for accomplishing the seemingly impossible. This time, the reversed conditions of the barrier prove effective against Sukuna's slashes. Gojo extends an invitation to Sukuna for a do-over, and they engage in a fierce hand-to-hand combat. Sukuna takes the offensive, launching decisive punches, but Gojo adeptly defends against each one, showcasing his exceptional skill in countering the relentless attacks of the powerful sorcerer. Sukuna is employing domain amplification, catching Gojo by surprise. Gojo questions if Sukuna is used to this, as his output begins to ramp up. Sukuna explains that he can amplify with a domain open, highlighting the distinction between innate techniques engraved in flesh and cursed techniques that have already been applied to the domain. Gojo switches from defense to offense, throwing a series of punches at Sukuna, who easily evades them. In response, Sukuna launches a punch, but Gojo counters it with a punch from below. The strike lands on Sukuna and appears to have had a significant impact. The momentum of the battle shifts as Gojo takes the initiative. Gojo's eyes widen in surprise as Sukuna's can't-miss attack turns off inside his domain. The two powerful sorcerers appear to be almost equally matched. Kenjaku, who is spectating the match, draws his conclusions. The unlimited void affects everything inside Gojo's domain, except Gojo himself, and anything directly touching him. To destroy Gojo's domain from the outside, Sukuna focused on the effective range, boosting the power compared to Shibuya. The binding vow for the negative malevolent shrine's can't-miss command inside Gojo's domain further increased the power from the outside. As far as surviving inside the unlimited void is considered, Sukuna manages to do so by touching Gojo. Consequently, Gojo's domain fails once again, crumbling in the face of Sukuna's domain. An evil smirk is imprinted on Sukuna's face as he questions Gojo if he still needs another do-over. The balance of power shifts once more in this intense battle, with Sukuna asserting his dominance and challenging Gojo. Immediately following this turn of events, Gojo is assailed by countless slashes from Sukuna's technique. The sorcerers are left confused by the rapid shifts in the battle. Tsukabe provides insight, explaining that Sukuna must have also changed the conditions of his domain. Hikari appears concerned, but Kashimo restrains him from intervening, volunteering himself as the next combatant to face Sukuna in the event of Gojo's demise. Despite Sukuna's onslaught, Gojo's body only bears shallow cuts. Gojo exclaims that he had learned this technique as a child, but stopped using it after mastering the domain. Tsukabe is left perplexed. The technique Gojo is currently employing is called falling blossom emotion. The other sorcerers find themselves even more confused, wondering why Tsukabe is the only one familiar with this information. Panda exclaims that it's an anti-domain technique known only to the big three families, questioning why Tsukabe is familiar with it. Tsukabe explains that it's a cursed energy control program designed to automatically repel anyone who touches it. While it may not be highly effective against a complex cursed technique like the Unlimited Void, it proves useful against a simpler technique like Sukuna's. Tsukabe continues to elaborate on the anti-domain technique. Unlike a simple domain, this technique doesn't get stripped away easily. Choso notes an exception, mentioning that the technique can't withstand domain output without incurring some injury. The technique appears to be sufficient for Gojo to heal his burnt-out curse technique, but it requires time. As the conversation unfolds, Gojo takes another action that prompts a new set of perplexing remarks. He initiates his domain expansion for the third time. The sorcerers are baffled by how Gojo can change the conditions of his domain so effortlessly and rapidly. Speculations arise, with the possibility that he might be attempting to cover Sukuna's entire effective range. However, Gojo's domain appears to be a minute barrier, deepening the confusion among the sorcerers. Kashimo questions whether Gojo's actions have borne fruit, but the size of the barrier raises further uncertainty. The sorcerers are left wondering about Gojo's intentions and strategy in this critical moment of the intense battle.